Hi, Sarah Nielsen here. I am a psychotherapist of 20 years, and one of my specialty areas is eating disorders, disordered eating. And you can watch this video in different places, whether it be Facebook, Intuitive Eating Free Education, Facebook, Counseling with Sarah Nielsen, Instagram, July Moon, or YouTube, Tales of a Psychotherapist. Today, I want to talk about guilt and shame. Guilt and shame of an eating disorder, disordered eating, guilt about eating, and the whole thing. So let's get into it. So guilt and shame can show up in a lot of different ways. And like I said, it can be about having an eating disorder, disordered eating just in general. The length of time can be a factor. I know a lot of people are like, well, I've struggled with my eating disorder for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever it is. And, that can be a part of the guilt and shame, the time periods. We get caught up in these numbers. And recovery, when it comes to eating disorders, disordered eating, it's not a straight line at all. I always say this, you'll hear me say this a lot. You didn't develop a troubled relationship with food overnight. You're not going to fix it overnight. And recovery from eating disorders, disordered eating is difficult. It's a journey, absolutely. And, it's one of those things that is, the level of difficulty is, the ante is increased. We'll put it that way. Because for a lot of, you think about an addiction model, a lot of things that you may have an addiction to, you can remove, right? You don't have to have alcohol in your life. You don't have to have drugs in your life. You can take it away. Food is not one of those. And you may not see it as an addiction, but I do. I see it as along the lines of an addiction because it really doesn't matter if you're overeating or undereating. It monopolizes your life just like drugs do. It overtakes your life just like drugs do. And you are battling it, fighting with it, just like drugs, or addiction, I should say. And so the first piece that I want to talk about today with the guilt and shame is just that the road to recovery is like, it's up and down. And I know that's frustrating. And that's the time to have compassion for yourself and validate the difficulty, but particularly the compassion. I know most of you, if you had a friend who was going through this and they had a setback, you wouldn't offer them guilt or shame for it. You would offer them compassion and understanding. And it's important that we pause and do the same thing for ourselves. So, know that recovery is not a straight line. That can contribute to guilt and shame. It's important to explore what are your triggers of guilt and shame. Is it the length of time? Is it having an eating disorder? Is it when I consume particular foods? That can be a part of it as well. Certain foods or certain categories of foods, for example, sugar, carbs, or is it, like I said, particular foods? But explore those triggers. And I'll tell you, the biggest combatant to guilt and shame is compassion. Let that sink in for a minute. The more you can combat guilt and shame, it is a way of fighting your eating disorder and disordered eating. Guilt and shame is an accelerant to your eating disorder, and compassion it's like putting the ashes to the fire, right? Or the fire hydrant when you spray that. So think about it that way and keep that in mind. When it comes to guilt and shame, eating disorder, disordered eating, that includes eating disorder talk. I've got a video on that talking about ED. That accelerates it, and compassion is what cuts through it. So, and again, it doesn't matter where you're at on the spectrum from overeating to undereating, emotional eating, binge eating, toggling around. So that's the message today. I've got a couple more videos coming up on mindful eating, exercise addiction, diet culture, chronic conditions, And I'm trying to get on a regular basis, 1 or 2 days a week, where I pick one day of the week and I put out videos like every Tuesday. My father's been in and out of the hospital, so it's just been a little difficult for me to stay on track with that right now. But that's the point that I'm going to get to. So I hope you enjoyed today, and follow, like, share, and let me know if you have got things you want to hear about, questions, topics. Thanks.